Hi everyone, I'm Kevin Duxalia and this is my report about Customs Administrative Order CAO number 01/2019. I'm subject Post-Clearance Audit and Prior Disclosure Program. Introduction. This implements the post-clearance audit function of the Bureau found in Section 1000 to 1006 Title 10 and other related provision of Republic Act number 863, otherwise known as the Customs Modernization and Tariff Act or CMTA. Section 1. The scope. The order covers the post-clearance audit of all records required to be kept by all importers, beneficial or true owners of imported goods, customs broker, agent, and locators provided for Section 1003, Title 10 of CMTA, and prior disclosure programs to compliance and revenue measure. In Section 1, lahat ng mga records na kailangan taguan sa mga importers by all importers or beneficial sa lahat mga tinuod na owner sa imported goods o customs brokers, agent o mga locators. Section 2, Objectives. To prescribe the principal purposes and methodology of the post-clearance audit system, record-keeping requirement in the prior cover the conduct of audit. Ginatudlo sa mga katuyuan sa mga pamaagi sa sistema sa pag-audit, sa clearance, sa mga record-keeping requirement and the conduct covered na makonduct sa audit. Section 2.2 and Section 2 to provide guidance for record keeping, document retention, and other legal obligation of importers and other customs stakeholders, and the adverse consequences and non-compliance with the customs rules and regulations. Magbigay ng mga patnubay para sa mga record na i-keep at para mapanatili ang mga obligasyon sa mga importers at sa ibang customs na stockholders at masama sa kahinatnan na hindi hindi sa mga pagsunod ng mga customs rules at mga regulations. 2.3 To facilitate trade by strengthening customs control from border to the back end of the cargo clearance process under the regime import compliance para mapadali ang pagbenta at mapalakas ng control sa mga border sa customs. 2.4 To promote compliance with the customs laws and regulations by providing a non-punitive facility for importers to voluntarily disclose or report to customs authorities the error in goods declaration and the payment of duties, taxes, and other charges. Para itaguyod ang pagsunod sa batas at mga alituntunin sa customs at hindi mapaprusahan para sa ang mga importers at kailangang iboluntaryo, kailangang sarili na o kaya ihayag report nila sa customs authorities ang mali na sa pagdeklara sa mga goods. 2.5 To provide a clear set of policies and guidelines in application and availment of PDP. Para mabigyan ng malinaw na polisiya at panubay ang mga taga-PDP. To generate additional revenues with this administrative cost to both the government or the importer, bumuo ng mga karagdagang kita sa customs kasama ang mga pinakamaliit na gasto sa administrative sa both government and the importer. Section 3 Definition of terms. For the purpose of this CAO, the following terms are defined as follows. 3.1 Customs broker shall refer to any person who is a bona fide holder of the valid certificate, registration of the professional identification card issued by the professional Regulatory Board and Professional Regulations Commission pursuant to Republic Act Number 9280 was amended, otherwise known as the Customs Broker Act of 2004. Okay, customs broker, siya lang ang tao na usa ka tao na nakapasar sa Professional Regulatory Board na sa valid sa certificate sa registration o nasa professional identification card. Alam naman natin kung ano yung customs broker. Customs clearance are refer to the completion of customs and other government formalities necessary to allow goods to enter for consumption, warehousing, transit, or transshipment to be exported or placed under another customs procedure under the following regimes. Okay, sa customs clearance para sa mga goods na maalaw na mapapasok for consumption, warehousing, transit, or transshipment or exported, lahi-lahi po ni siya o na po yung mga laing procedure sa under sa laing lain-laing clearance para sa warehousing, transit, transshipment, or exported. Next, customs clearance for consumption entries shall refer to the procedure of making the final payment on duties and taxes and other charges. Another charges at the port of entry and legal permit of withdrawal has been granted. Okay, dito sa 3.2.1, consumption, clearance for consumption, paggawa ito sa mga huling hakbang na babayaran, lahat ng bayaran na dapat bayaran, and other charges. 3.2.2, customs clearance for warehousing entries. Ito naman for the warehousing shall refer to the procedure filing of goods declaration and duties and taxes has been secured to be paid at the point of entry and legal permit withdrawal has been granted. Warehousing naman para pamaagi pagsampa sa mga goods na kailangan secured na ma-paid at the point of entry at ng legal permit. Filing sa goods. The custom clearance for transit shall refer the customs procedure under which goods is original form and are given permit to be transported under custom control from one customs office or another to free zone. Okay, for the transit clearance for transit kung saan ang goods ay original form pa. Ang permit na bigay ay dinala sa customs control to another customs office. Transshipment for customs clearance for transshipment shall refer to the customs procedure under which goods are given permit to be transferred under customs control, which from the importing means of transporting to the exporting means of transport within the area of one customs office, which is the Office of the Board Exportation and Importation Transshipment, kung saan ang permit ng goods ay nilipat sa ilalim ng customs control na sa loob ng isang area ng isang customs office kung saan ang Office of the Custom ay pareho ng sa export at sa import. Fraud shall refer to the omission or omission of any act resulting in material cost such as but not limited to the submission of false or altered documents in connection with the importation knowingly, voluntarily, and intentionally done to reduce the taxes and duties paid or to avoid compliance with the government regulations related to entry-regulated property, restricted government, intergovernment territory, or misdeclaration or under evaluation. Ito yung klase Ang fraud ay isang panluloko na ginagawa nila o nagresulta sa mga mali na pagsabi sa mga statements at nagkaroon na sila ng mga kakulangan at meron ding mga iba na prohibited o restricted na mga goods na dapat na hindi mapasok. Free zone shall per the special economic zone registered with the Philippine Economic Zone Authority PESA under the Public Act number 7961 as the amended July Charter or legislated Special Economic Zone of Freeport. Okay, free zone, isa ka sa class of the Special Economic Zone na kung saan ang goods na import o handle or manufacture or reconfigure or export ay nakalagay lang doon ang mga goods. Importer 3.5 importer shall refer to the following. 3.1 importer of goods or consignee of owner of declarant. Mga importer of goods or owner, pwede sila mga importer. A importer of goods into the Philippines withdraw admitted goods from free zone into the customs territory for consumption or warehouse, files a claim for refund, drawback, transport, or store goods carried or held in the security. Okay, sa lahat ng imported goods in the Philippines papunta from the free zone to customs processing or knowing and B and no knowingly causes the importation or transportation or storage of the imported goods referred to above, filing or refund or drawback claim. A person ordering imported goods from local importer or supplier in domestic transaction if the person is placing controls and material terms and condition of importation. Ang tao kung pwede siya kung nasa order sa controls kung na ay condition of the importation. B, a person placing the order or importer or supplier are related in such way or as a beneficial of true owner of the imported good as may exemplified by the following circumstances. Kung ang tao ay true owner siya sa imported goods, exempted siya. The person placing order and solely buyer the goods goods imported by the importer of record. Okay, yung tao na kapalit lang siya o solely buyer siya sa mga imported goods. The importer of records is affiliate na juridical entity which placed the order or the importer of goods entity which placed the order as owned by the same set of majority stakeholders, whether nominal or beneficial of both corporators o mga kuan lang siya, beneficial o like mga stakeholders or mga kakibat. The person or entity placing the order furnished the importer or the exported with technical data, modes, equipment, and other production of imported goods are goods to be imported. Okay, the person or entity placing order furnished or inayos sa importer or exporter ang mga technical data. Pwede siya considers as importer. 3.5, a person whose activities require the filing of goods declaration. Na yung mga activities na gina-record sa goods declaration. And 3.54, an agent of the imported goods described in section. Ang mga agents na ginasugo dito, mahulog sila as importer. 3.6, inadvertent error shall refer to the mechanical, electronic, or clerical error committed unintentionally by the importer and occurred withstanding the maintenance of internal controls necessary to avoid such errors. Inadvertent errors are used by CAO amount of simple negligence. Okay, inadvertent errors, mga mali sa mechanical, electrical na hindi sinasadya unintentionally by the importer. Locator shall refer the persons authorized to bring imported goods into a free zone such as special economic zones and free ports. Okay, ang mga locators sa katao na authorized siya magdala og mga imported goods adulong sa free zone or sa special economic zone. Misclassification shall refer to the use of insufficient or wrong description of the goods, and use the erroneous tariff headings resulting in deficiency between the duty and tax that should have been paid and the duty and tax actually paid into or to avoid compliance with government regulations related to entry, regulated, prohibited, or restricted goods into the customs territory. Okay, misclassification. Ito yung mga mali sa paglarawan, no? Mali ang paglarawan at nagkakaroon ng mga kakulangan sa duty and taxes. Kailangan tama jud ang paglarawan kay isod na sinay mga kasulod na mga related prohibited restricted goods sa customs territory. 3.9, misdeclaration shall refer to a false, untruthful, erroneous, or inaccurate declaration as the quantity or quality, description, weight, or measure of the goods, resulting in the deficiency of duty and tax that have been paid by the duty actually paid or not avoid compliance with the government regulations related to the entry of regulated, prohibited, restricted into Philippine Customs Territory. Okay, misdeclarations to ng mga atik na ginaingon na mauni ang mga timbang, quantity, o mga sukol sa mga goods, o mga resulta siya sa kakulangan sa duty and taxes. 3.10, negligence shall refer to the failure to exercise reasonable care and competence through the acts or omission or commissions ensuring that the statement makes correct, resulting in a deficiency in taxes and duty to pay. Okay, negligence kanang kapabayaan o kulang sila sa practice mo, nagkapabayaan nila ang statement o mali ang nag-cause kaya po o nag-result kaya po sa kakulangan sa taxes and duties. 3.11, principal place of business shall refer to the headquarters that holds the senior executive of the firm of the firm, usually the center, and where the locations are controlled. Okay, the principal place business is like money ang pinaka-sentro sa opisina sa custom kung saan na ang uban na control nila ang uban nila na opisina. Prior disclosure program shall refer to the program based on the international best customs practice, authorizing of the commissioner of the customs to accept as a potential mitigating factor. Prior disclosure by the importers and errors and omission in goods declarations resulting deficiency and duties and taxes and past importations. It may also include the disclosure of the royalties and the other proceeds in subsequent resale, disposal, or use to the imported goods actual and indirect. Sa prior disclosure program, usa ka best practice sa customs na authorizing siya sa commissioner of the customs para makita ang sa mga mali na ginabuhat sa customs. Cost Clearance Audit Group or PCAG shall refer to an office created under Executive Order Number 160/2003 as amended Executive Order Number 2017 mandated to conduct audit on importers, locators, and all parties engaged in customs clearance by mandated mo ni siya Cost Clearance Audit Group mandated ng conduct sila o utos na sila na ginasugo na mo conduct og audit sa mga importers, locators o lahat ng mga nasakop sa customs clearance sa pag-process sa mga goods. Kailangan na sila moagi yan. Reconsideration of the audit findings shall refer to the PLAIA to re-evaluation the audit findings on basis to existing records without need additional evidence. It may involve the questions of fact of law to vote o carry consideration of the findings mo ang gibalik ng audit kung napay mga existing na records bisan hindi na kailangan ng mga evidence. Re-investigation of finding audit shall refer to the PLAIA or the evaluation of audit findings na basis on newly discovered na additional evidence. Mag-re-investigate sila og balik kung na sila nakita na new evidence or additional evidence. Kung na ay mga questions na makuha nila. Under evaluation shall refer the situation when the declared value fails to disclose the price actually paid or payable, or any dutiable adjustment to the price actually paid or payable, or when an incorrect valuation method is used or valuation rules are not properly observed, resulting in a discrepancy in duty and tax to be paid between what is legally determined as the correct value against the declared value. Okay, the under evaluation mo yung pagka prices refers declared value na mali mali ang ingon na price value na nabayaran na kung na ay mga o unsa may kanang mga og naanay adjustment sa mga price actually payable. Ang resulta ni siya sa pagka lailahi sa discrepancy or lailahi sa duty and taxes na mali ang determine. Section 4, requirement to keep the record. Usay mga requirement to keep the record, audit, and the audit of the examination of records within 3 years from the date of the final payment of duties and taxes, customs clearance. The case may be the Bureau may conduct an audit, examination, inspections, verification, investigation of records pertaining to any goods declaration which shall include statement, declaration, documents electronically generated or machine-readable data for the purpose of ascertaining or ascertaining the correctness and goods declaration, determining the liability of the importer for the duties and taxes and other charges, including any fine or penalty. Di pag-abot sa 3 years, mag-conduct sila mag-conduct ang bureau, conduct og audit ang bureau. Period of limitation, the absence of fraud when the goods has been finally assessed and released. Assessment shall be conclusive upon parties 3 years from the date of final payment. Okay, na sa period sa pag-assess and release sa assessment of 3 years from the date of final duties. 4.2 entities are required to maintain to keep records. Importers. All importers include those mentioned in the definition of importers. Attention, post-clearance audit section 5 titles are required to maintain. Okay, mga ni Pras kanina, yun na importer are required din sila maintain to keep all the records, quotation book, account business, and computer system, and the customs commission data, including payment records. Next is the customs broker and other parties. All customs broker and other parties engaged in customs processing are required to keep manual or electronic copies. Customs bureau required sila na mo keep customer clearance and electronic copies of the records. Next is the allocators. Allocators are required to keep all records, all transaction activities relating to the admission and withdrawal of goods from the prison in the customs territory. Required po sila na keep of records sa transaction o activity ang gikan sa prison adulong sa customs territory. Purpose keeping records. The records are kept for the following purposes. Number 1 is to compare the truthfulness and accuracy, declaration, and the transaction value of the imported goods. Para maigo ang mga kawastuhan o mga deklara sa mga value sa mga imported goods. Next, to check the adequacy and integrity of manual or electronic system or systems by which required records are filed, maintained, and stored, whether specific transaction-based or account-based. To check na kung sapat na ang kaayuhan, sapat na integridad sa mga manual or electronic system which is required the records o ginamaintain nila sa store. 3.3 to determine the level of compliance of importers, customs broker, locators, other parties required to keep records in the laws and regulations which are enforced by the Bureau, and to serve the basis for the imposition of sanction for non-compliance and purgatory obligation of importers and other entities required to keep records subject to applicable laws. Rules and regulations. Okay. Para masabisyuhan nila ang paglingkod o mabatayan ng pagpataw sa parusa na hindi pagsunod sa mga batas. Period 4.4. Period and place to keep the records. A porter, as defined here in Section 1320, are required to keep all the records pertaining to ordinary course of business and any activity or permission containing and the records required by the CAO and by the CMTA and their principal place business for the period of 3 years on the date of final payment of duties and taxes of custom clearance, whichever is later in case maybe. Okay, importers, defined in section, ang required na sila pag-abot, required na ma-keep nila mga records pag-abot sa 3 years, ulit pa ito. All parties engaged in custom clearance processing as well locators or person authorized to bring imported goods into operation are required to keep the records related in such customs clearance processing and their principal place orders period 3 years and filing of goods declaration. Kailangan sila na keep sa records ang all parties na in the customs na sa customs clearance. 4.5 records to be kept. The following records or their weight document are required to be kept for the purpose of the post-clearance audit. Documentation of the entity, organization, the structure, which includes articles of incorporation, articles of partnership, registration certificate with the Department of Trade and Industry, and like list of incorporators, stockholders, partners, boards of directors, and owners. Organizational structure, management and key personnel involved in import processing, including authorized declarants and the specimen signatures. Capital composition. Stock and transfer book, generate information sheet, information and parent companies, subsidiaries and affiliates and their capital compositions, list of exporters, suppliers, nature relationship with the importer pursuant in section 701, chapter 1 titled 7 CMT. Records, ano yung mga records na kailangan keep? Audited financial statement and tax returns for the income tax, withholding tax, and value-added tax, excise tax, pinuktan stamp tax, and capital gains tax. Next, general contracts, agreements with the regular principal suppliers. Next are the company profile, story, and description of operations, relevant board resolution, and permits and license. Kailangan na i-keep nila na records. 4.2 documentations on order purchase, which includes sales and other related agreements in whatever form, including those covering distribution, royalty, agency, warranty, terms of payments, and like correspondence or communication relating to import transaction in whatever form, including purchase orders, vouchers, confirmations, pro forma invoice, acknowledgement receipts, notice, advisories, and like, and product description, specification, attached vouchers, manual, catalogs, pamphlets, flyers, literatures. Now, 4.5.3 documentation and shipping, importation and exportation and transport, which includes goods declarations and proofs, payment of duties and taxes, mga patunay. Commercial invoice and non-commercial invoice or the taxes, import or export license or permits, bill of lading, master LWBs, house airwheel bills, and consolidator bills of lading. Shipping structure of freight providers instructors. Certificate of origin, certificate of eligibility, certificate of inspection and loading, or certificates of identification. Freight and insurance contracts. Packing list, transshipment permits. Boat notes or special permits to transfer goods from one customs store to another customs, from one vessel to another. Next is quota allocation or certificates, customs brokerage, logistics, freight provider, agreements, billing statement, account or receivable. Receipt or receivable. Receipt from the arrestatory charges, cargo handling and storage fees, and short ship and bad other reports. Goods tally records or its equivalent. Letter of credit and application for letter of credit. Offshore monetary transaction or remittance advice. Credit card transaction. Telegraphic money transfer. Evidence of payments by any other means, including information detailing non-cash compensation transaction. Permit to operate customs bonded warehouse, customs facilities, and warehouse and free zones. Formula of conversion manufacturing. List of monthly importable materials quota. List of imported purchases. Summary of exports or local sales. Summary of liquidated and unliquidated entries. List of subcontractors. List of inventory. Production report and evidence of incentives enjoyed on the board of the investment registered importers and the pre-zone locators. 4.5.4 Documentation of the manufacturing stock also, which includes inward goods received, registered or received journal, stock register, inventory record, production record, costing record, purchase book, and sales book. Financial document. 4.5.5 The financial documents such as financial statements and other accounting information, which includes cash receipt and disbursement books, subsidiary ledgers of account payable and account receivable. Check records and bank reconciliations record. 4.5.6 Charts and records of accounts of general subsidiary ledgers, general journal, accounting instruction manuals, and system and program documentation that describes the accounting system used by the importer and, whenever applicable, information of records as described in section 4.5.1. 4.5.6 Disorder that are electronically recorded or stored. Section 5 Post Clearance Audit. Composition of PCAG. The PCAG is headed by the Assistant Commissioner who shall exercise direct supervision and control and management of the following operating units, which is the nagdala sa headed Assistant Commissioner kung saan siyang nag-exercise sa practice sa direct supervision ng mga control management. Trade Information and Risk Analysis Office of PCAG o TIR AO. and Compliance Assessment Office, PCAG, the CAO. PCAG, TIR, TIRAO, and PCAG, CAO, each headed by directors. Headed sila sa director. Section 5.2, Authority and Commissioner and recognize PCAG. The Commissioner, with the approval of Secretary of Finance, is hereby authorized to determine the number of personnel requirements of PCAG, issue the necessary order to resign the required organic personnel of BOC. Okay, PCAG, the Commissioner, with the approval yapon siya sa Secretary of Finance. Ang balaan mga requirements, sa number of personnel requirements. Section 5.3, function of PCAG. What is the function of PCAG? The PCAG is mandated to conduct within 3 years from the date of final payment duties and taxes of customs clearance, audit, examination, inspection, verification, investigation, records pertaining the goods declaration, which are not include statement declarations, documents electronically generated or machine-readable data. Yung mga function nila, nagkakuan sila of audit about sa 3 years on the date of the final payment. PCAG, TIR, AO, following performing function, review the available trade data, determine the compliance market of industry and other means of data groupings, and set benchmark for the purpose of developing an audit program from the Commissioner's approval. Nag-review sila sa mga available data kung napaabot sila gyapon sa Commissioner's approval. And that coordinate with the management, information systems and technology group, which they develop a computer-aided risk-based management system, the parameter of which are the base of the objective and quantifiable data subject to approval of the Secretary of Finance upon the recommendation of the Commissioner for the use of profiling and identification of potential priority audit candidates based on the approved audit program. C. Recommended approval of the Commissioner, the Customs, the potential priority audit candidates. D. The develop policies, guidelines, manuals, and standard operating procedures relating to audit process. And D. Perform such other function as may be necessary or incidental in carrying into effect the provision of this order as provided by the law. The PCAG CAO shall perform the following function. Kanina sa mistake sa PCAG TIRO, kung saan sila sa mga data groupings na develop sila sa mga audit programs, mga technology, subject o mga approvals personal, mga manuals, standard operator. At ngayon naman sa PCAG CAO, ang functions nila prepare from the audit program, scope, and approach for the approved priority and audit candidates. Prepare sila sa work plan. Conduct the audit, examination, inspection, verification, investigation of records to the applicable laws, approved policies, guidelines, manual, standard, and operating procedures. Prepare to submit the required records required reports on audit findings, recommendation of the commissioner, program, and establish and maintain the customs compliance program and perform such other functions as may be necessary or incidental in carrying into effect the provision of the order. This is the function of the PCAG CAO na nakuha sila sa mga work plan, nag-prepare sa mga required reports of mga audit findings, kung nagpaabot niya po siya sa recommendation sa commissioner. In the scope 5.4, scope the audit, the Bureau shall develop the computer-aided risk-based management system. The parameters which are to be based on objective of quantifiable data to approve the Secretary of Finance upon the recommendation of the Commissioner. Post-clearance audit, importers shall be undertaken with the firms are selected based on any but not limited in the following criteria. Relative magnitude customs revenue to be generated from the firm. The rates of duties firms imports, mga duties and rate of duties. The compliance track records of the firm. As assessment, the risk to revenue to firms imports activities. The compliance of level of trade sector and non-renewal of the importer custom accreditation. 5.4.2 Customs brokers and importers, duly authorized agents may be audited to validate information provided by the importer, clients, and fill information gaps revealed during the audit. Ugnay agwat sa during sa audit. 5.4.3 The Commissioner may authorize to conduct a compliance of audit of the importers, locators, specific group of importers or other parties engaged in the customs clearance process as is deemed necessary. 5.5 Conduct the post-clearance audit. The PCGA shall prepare a set of post-clearance audit procedure. Okay, 5.1 The PCGA shall prepare a set of post-clearance audit procedure for approval of Commissioner to strictly govern the audit to achieve the highest level of objectivity, fairness, efficiency, and transparency. The guidelines shall include the following procedural operational concern. A. Profiling, formation analysis. PCGA TIRAO shall perform risk profiling analysis activities of the importers. This includes data gathering and evaluation to import-export operation. Silang nag-perform sa risk activities or mga persons behavior. Audit notification. The Commissioner shall issue an audit notification letter to the company identified for the audit and shall contain the names of authorized customs personnel of PCAG and CAO to perform the post-clearance audit. It shall be valid for another 30 calendar days from the date of issuance. Subject to revalidation by Assistant Commissioner for another 30 days prior to expiry and must be served reporter through following modes of service. 1 is the personal service of the principal place business. 2 or registered mail, or 3 to electronic notice sent or registered. inilusan ni siya ka letter na ginhatag sa mga company for the, na mo-contain sila og audit o valid ni siya sa 30 calendar days from the date of issuance, ma-revalidation after another 30 days without a prior to expiry. CO audit plan. Audit team shall prepare an audit plan for the fit circumstances of the audited company and meet the specific audits objectives most expeditious and transparent manner na makasya nila mga pangyayari na madalian sa pag-audit plan. Conduct of audit proper. The audit team shall commence audit proper not later 60 calendar days from the service of in pag-abot sa letter or audit notification letter siya makuminsya magsimula na ang audit not later than 60 calendar days. The audit shall be completed with 120 calendar days. So, makomplete siya with the 120 calendar days. Letter E, service of demand letter for the payment of deficiency. With the 5 calendar days from the receipt of the demand letter signed by the commissioners, the PCA send the same of the reporter to run any following modes of service. 1. The personal service at the principal place of business. 2. Registered mail. 3. Electronic notice sent to registered official electronic mail address. Bayad sa mga kakulangan. Within the 5 calendar days, nasa demand letter ang abot o pinaagi po dito pumaagi sa pagpadala. The F is the rate. Okay, letter F, reconsideration or investigation of the audit findings. The importer adversely affected by the deficiency assessment issue by the PCAG approved by the Commissioner may file a request for reconsideration or investigation to the Commissioner within the 15 days from the receipt of the demand letters. Maapektuhan ng importer kung mag-file o request ng reporter affected sila approve na commissioner request compensation mag-request mag-investigation o mag-reconsideration ng PCAG within the 15 days from the receipt of the demand letter. For the request of the reinvestigation, the reporter shall submit a relevant ang importer mag-submit lang siya og supporting documents to support within 30 days from the date of filing. Abot sa 30 days. Otherwise, request shall be denied. The Bureau to the CGA shall have 60 calendar days for the submission of the complete documents to resolve the request. Abot sa 60 calendar days. Acknowledgement letter. Acknowledgement letter upon the payment of the amount of demand. The Bureau shall immediately issue without need or request from the importer a letter acknowledging receipt of the payment made by the importer in which statement that the audit is completed. Okay, acknowledgement letter is a kind of demand na hindi na kailangan og request from the importer or acknowledging the receipt of the payment made by the importer. Reporting of DOF and BIR, the Bureau shall furnish the DOF or BIR and copy the final audit results within 30 calendar days. Dapat magbigay o kopya ng final audit result within 30 calendar days. 5.2, 5.5.2, nothing in this section shall be constructed or restricting or calling into questions the right of the Bureau through the PCDA to satisfy itself as the truth of accuracy of any statement, document, or declaration presented for customs valuations purposes as may be necessary for the purpose collecting the proper duties and taxes and to determine the compliance with the government rules and regulations. Uh, 5.6 as access of record, the importer shall give the Bureau personnel authorized to conduct an audit full free access to the premises where the records are kept to provide the full or free access to the cloud-based base of data room of the private servers or data or others device to conduct an audit. This may include access to records showing the importers. A is the document flow, B financial flow, C goods inventory, and the other business process necessary or relevant in determining the adequacy and integrity of the manual electronic system or system by which as records are created and stored in compliance with laws and regulations, particularly in relations to customs valuations, tariff classifications, country of origin, and compliance with the regulatory requirements with the end of the view and collecting the proper duties and taxes. (5.6.2) The customs officer shall present a written evidence of this authority. The persons in charge on the premises must provide the officer with reasonable facilities and assistance for the effective exercise of the officer authority under this section. Kailangan ng customs officer na mag-present siya o written evidence of his authority. O ang tao na nag-charge sa premises, kailangan mo-provide siya sa office, provided siya sa officer with reasonable facilities, assistance for the effective exercises. Okay, 5.7 documents written in the foreign language. Where a document in a foreign language is presented to a customs officer in relation to the carrying out of any duty to exercise in any power of the Bureau of Customs, said the document must accompanied with translations in English. Kailangan ko na sa foreign language ang documents, kailangan siya ma-translate into English under oath, panunumpa, pasiglahi pag istorya dito, gilahi ba? Kailangan siya manumpa, credited by the Department of Foreign Affairs. 5.8 Power of the Commissioner to obtain permission of issue of summons. For the effective implementation of local of the post clearance audit function of the Bureau, the Commissioners are authorized to obtain on regular basis from any person. So, kumuha siya ng mga batayan sa mga tao. In addition to a person is the subject of post clearance audit or investigation, or subject ang sa katao sa post clearance audit or investigation, or from office of officer or office Ang official sa Office of National and Local Governments, government agencies, instrumental including BSP and GOC. Any information of proposal volume production, receipt of sale, gross income, and taxpayers. The name of address, headquarters of Moiti, national companies, joint account, association, joint ventures and consortia, registered partnerships, and their members whose business operation or activities are directly or indirectly involved in the operation or exportation of the goods or product manufactured from the exported component materials. Kuya ni 5.8.2 summon the person liable sa duties taxes are required to file the goods. Kung sumunod ang tao na liable for the duties and taxes or goods declarations, and officer of the employee such as person or any person having position custody or care of the books, accounts, and other accounting records containing entries relating to the business at the person liable for duties and taxes or any other persons to appear before the commissioner on the duty authorized representative at the time of place specified in the summon and the produce such books, paper records, or data or to give in testimony. 5.8.3 take such testimony for the persons concerned under oath as the may relevant material such inquiry. Nakuha nila testimony sa tao na concern. Obtain information the banks. 5.8.4 obtain information from the banks and other financial institution commercial documents records pertaining especially to payments na relevant to import transaction. Powers commissioner, pwede siya makuha ang mga impormasyon sa mga bangko, mga records sa mga banks. Section 6 Prior Disclosure Program. Who may avail the Prior Disclosure Program? Kinsay maka-avail ani? 6.1.1 is the any importer without waiting for the issuance of NL may be avail the PDP. Or usa ka importer na wala siya nagpaabot sa audit application letter, pwede siya pwede siya maka-avail sa PDP by the submitting a dulay accomplish application form prescribed by the Bureau for prior disclosure stating the errors of goods declaration. Mag-submit na siya og application form prescribed by the Bureau. Letter B, tendering payment from the deficiency of duties o sumika siya na mabayaran mga duties and taxes and penalties is applicable. 6.1.2 any importers receive an amnesty appeal. Mga importer gyapon naka-receive sa audit application letter, makabil gyapon siya by submitting the dulay accomplished application form prescribed by the Bureau o dulay accomplished application. Mag-submit na siya na prescribed by the Bureau for the prior disclosure stating the errors of goods declaration, tendering the payment of deficiency duties taxes in the period of 90 calendar days from the receipt of the ANL. Kung nagapon siya ay 90 calendar days period ikan sa pagdawat niya sa ANL. The importer may amend o pabutihin ang of the PDP application pay additional deficiency duties and taxes penalties with an additional non-extendable period within 30 calendar days for the filing of BDP. Application form should be there. Any adjustment of the original form application or new issues discovered that need to be disclosed. Ang mga reporter kailangan siya mag-amend for the PDP application para additional deficiency in the period of 30 calendar days. 6.2 goods declaration which are covered the cases already filed and pending in courts. Makabigya po siya we are covered by cases is already filed na siya. 6 goods declaration 6.2.3 is goods declaration involving fraud as defined under section 10.3.2 involving fraud. Excluse dili na ma-appeal, dili ka-appeal sa mga hindi maka-avail. Yan ay siya na involving sa fraud. Effects of PDP 6.3. Instead, the penalties provided section 10.3.1 following penalties shall be imposed in approved applications for the PDPs conformity with the section 14108 of CMTA for the PDP applicant letter 6.3.1 who was not yet received the annual payment for the transition duties and taxes plus legal interest as the provision. Kung ang tao na wala ay kung sa aplikante na nakuha sa PDP taxes na site and the due plus legal interest and for PDP applicant who are similar na bill for the program response payment as the deficiency duties taxes na say penalty na 10% based of the basic deficiency and legal interest at provided section 7 for the PDP applicant 6.3.3 was made by disclosure of realities and other proceeds of any subsequent resale, disposal, or use of the imported goods accrues directly or indirectly the seller or any subsequent adjustment to the price payable or payment of deficiency and duties and tax due without penalties and interest provided that applicants filed with PDP within 30 calendar days from the date of payment. Pada PDP effect siya pwede na siya ipon. (6.4) Verification and action application of the for PDP. The PCGA shall verify the completeness of the PDP application form, including the payment made and other supporting documents. Failure to comply with the necessary documentation shall result in non-acceptance of the disapproval of the application. Una ay mali, manay nagkaroon siya og mga resulta sa dili pagdawat sa disapproval sa mga aplikasyon. 6.4.2 The audit team shall then verify the accuracy of the dependency and duties and taxes computation, determine of all errors of fully disclosed. Kailangan ng berang na accuracy o ang kawastuhan sa kakulangan sa duties and tax computation para ma-determine nila mga kulangan o mapwede nila ma-disclose. 6.4.3 in the relation to the specific goods declaration subject to the prior disclosure application with the are findings of fraud or when there are other materials inaccuracies, mistakes, or errors in the goods declarations or outright valuations committed that are not the subject of the disclosure but has an adverse impact on the government revenue. CGA shall recommend the Commission na conduct a formal full audit. Sa 6.4.3 una ay impact na mahitabo sa government magkandak ang formal and full audit ang PCAGs kasi nag-out sila ang gobyerno. 6.4.4 all cases okay. 6.4.4 in all cases the tender of payment shall be accepted by the Bureau to be applied the deficiencies in duties and taxes including the penalties, interest, fine or surcharge as voluntary disclosed regardless of whether to the prior disclosure application approved or denied with a commissioner or any request for a waiver of penalties, interest, fine or surcharge made by importer shall be subject to the final approval or the Secretary of Finance. Kung maayo kayo nagsumikap na mabayaran mo ang mga payment yung madawat sa bureau, ang kakulangan sa duties and taxes, any request for waiver penalties, interest, surcharge may dapat subject to final o deny kung voluntary disclose regardless of whether the prior disclosure application. 6.7 interest on the deficiency, duties, taxes, and other charges plus fine penalties. An interest of 20% per annum or 1 year, counted when the creator final assessment as the provided under Section 4.2 and of CMTA shall impose on 7.1 a prior disclosure of billment o pagkakamit. 7.2 deficiency, duties, tax, and other charges. Yung mga fine or penalties of any nasa 20% per annum. Section 8 remedies of the importer when the request for the reconsideration or investigation is denied by commissioner as provided in Section 5.5 if the whole part of the importer may appeal or such denied to the Court of Tax of Appeals within 30 days to receive adverse ruling or decision. The commissioner concept of the adverse masama the ruling decision of the commissioner. Section 9 Remedies of the Bureau. The remedies of the Bureau for the collection of import duties taxes and fees and charges resulting from the conduct of the post-clearance audit shall be obtained by 9.1 is distraint the goods, chattels, and pharmacies. The goods, chattels affects the other personal property and whatever character, including the stock and other securities, debts, credit bank accounts, interest, and goods such personal property. 9.2 Live by upon real property interests of real property after the expiration of the period which is paid to be paid to be which paid to the duty tax and other charges as prescribed in this section. Real property may be levied upon before simultaneously or after the distraint of personal property belonging to the importer. To this end of the commissioner or dulay, the authorized representative shall prepare an authentical separate showing the name of the importer. Okay, nag-prepare siya o authenticated certificate of the importer among the duties, tax, and penalty dues. The certificate shall operate the force of the legal execution throughout the Philippines. 9.3 The civil or criminal actions. Any of these remedies may be pursued liable. Discretion of the Bureau provided that the remedies of restraint labor shall not be allowed when the amount of duties and taxes, including interest penalties, involved is more than 10 pesos. If madakpan siya, the Bureau shall advance amount needed to be defray for costs of the collection by means that civil or criminal action which shall be included in the budget of the office of the commissioner, including the preservation of the transportation of the personal property, distraint, advertisement, and shall thereof as well the property and improvements thereon. Section 10 Administrative and Criminal Offense. 10.1 Failure to keep records. The following penalties are impossible to those who fail to keep and maintain the prescribed records. 10.1.1 Suspension or cancellation of accreditation as importer or broker with the Bureau. So, makancel siya o na-suspend sa importer or broker sa Bureau. 10.1.2 Surcharge of 20% Unduitable value of the goods which is subject of importations which is not no records were kept and maintained. Wala na keep mo ang mga records, so wala naman na maintain na kahit 20% surcharge. 10.1.3 Hold delivery or release of subsequent imported articles to answer the fine and revise assessment. Allowed delivery or release ang kasunod na imported articles to answer sira nimo ang mga assessment. 10.1.4 Criminal prosecution punishable with the enforcement is not less than 3 years and 1 day but not more than 6 years or fine 1 million pesos. This criminal possession kulong ka not less than 3 years but not more than 6 years o makabulta ka og 1 million pesos. And waiver of the right to contest and result of the audit based on the records kept of the Bureau. Pag ma-waiver lang siya sa right kung ang result sa audit, base lang ang records and keep ang ginakuha sa ang ginataguan sa Bureau. 10.2 Failure and refusal to give the full and free access. The following penalties are impossible for those who deny the authorized customs officer full and free access to the records required to be kept and maintained, suspension or cancellation or accreditation in as an or broker, reporter or broker with the Bureau or cancel pareha gyapon sa kuhan. Wala na maintain sa record, suspension gyapon sa reporter or broker. Punishable 10.2.2 punishable for contempt for contumacy or for refusal to provide access from the proper court having criminal jurisdiction over the matter. Nasa'y kung paghamak nasa'y kung pag-refuse niya nasa'y punishment. Ang court na mag-hold. 10.2.3 punishable ay 0.3 assessment of the importations subject of audit to declare transaction value being presumed accurate, applying therein the correct valuation method, types, classification, quantity, or country of origin as applicable based on available data o ibalik og assessment ng mga important mga importations. 10.2.4 surcharge of 20% on the table value which go to subject of operations register record will keep and maintain kung sa 20% na soldiers mga records no records na were keep and maintain. 10.2.5 hold the review of the subsequent imported articles to answer for the fine and any revised assessment. Ginahod niya po ng delivery o kasunod na imported articles. And 10.2.6 criminal prosecution punishable with imprisonment of not imprisonment of not less than 3 years and 1 day but not more than 6 years and fine 1 million pesos. Okay, kulong gyapon sa not less than 3 years and 1 day but not more than 6 years. Kabulta siya og 1 million pesos. 10.3 Failure to correct duties and tax on imported goods. Any person who, after being subjected to the post-clearance audit and examination is found to have incurred the deficiencies and duties and taxes paid for imported goods shall be penalized according to 2 degrees culpability, subject to any mitigating, aggravating, or extraordinary factors that are clearly established by availment evidence and described hereunder. The person will be na-subject siya sa post-commission upon langan na siya penalized according to degrees of the culpability. 10.3.3 negligence lang na natin kakulangan o ponder sa failures. Negligence is when a deficiency result from the offender's failures through an act or acts commissions to assess reasonable care and competence on ensuring that our statement made incorrect, or the offender shall be charged with committing negligence. and if found guilty shall be penalized with a fine equivalent of 125% the revenue loss. Papunta ko niya ako na kita na guilty with 125% revenue loss. 10.3.2 fraud when a material post statement of connection transaction committed or omitted or knowingly, voluntary, intentionally established by clear and convincing evidence of offender or charge committing fraud. Or greater thereof to penalize with a fine equivalent of 6 times of the revenue loss or imprisonment of 2 years but not more than 8 years. Okay, kung may balaan na sa fraud, nasa 6 times revenue loss pag malpriso sa 2 years but not more than 8 years. Section 11. Section 11, records to be kept by the Bureau. The PCAG shall keep a database of portal customs worker profile which include a record audit result and following information papers. Ang kailangan ng PCG keep mga database of the porter and custom brokers profiles. 11.1 articles of incorporation. Articles sa incorporation. 11.2 the company structure which shall not include but not limited to 11.2.1 incorporators to boards of directors. 11.2.2 key officers. 11.2.3 organizational structures. 11.3 the key importers. 11.4 importation privilege enjoyed. 11.5 are reverse violation and penalties. 11.5.1 impediments committees nabag. 11.5.2 is instances of prohibited operations bawal. 11.5.3 instances of smuggling. Smuggling is 11.5.4 instances of technical smuggling. Sa technical smuggling, A. Misdeclaration, B. Misclassification, and C. Undervaluation. 11.6 the risk categories. 11.7 the audit result, and 11.8 other information and documents on the various office at the Bureau that may be necessary in order to facilitate the conduct of post-clearance audit. Section 12. Audit monitoring and record keeping of PCAG in coordination with domestic shall establish and maintain a real-time case monitoring and control system to ensure that all tasks related to audit operation are completed on time and approve the audit recommendation and proper implemented for this purpose. The PCGA shall maintain a secure database and resolve all the records. Okay, section 12 na coordinate sila sa PCAG connected sa nag-connected sila sa Ministry Coordination and establish sila real-time case monitoring and control system. Ma-maintain nila ang secure sa database for the audit result of the records. Section 13 periodic review. Unless otherwise provided, this order shall be reviewed every 3 years and amended or revised as necessary. So, gina-review niya siya every 3 years as amended or revised as necessary. Section 14 turnover of records. The DOF FAIU Financial Analytic and Intelligence Unit, formerly known as the DOF FIU Fiscal Intelligence Unit, and shall turn over all files or documents including post clearance audit to the BOC PCAG in over nila sa BOC PCAG. Section 15 repealing clause department orders numbers 11 2014 04 2014 044 2014 and 033 2015 issued by the DOF. CAO number 0299 05 2001 04 2004 05 2007 03 2015 and all others orders, memoranda, circular or parts thereof which are the inconsistent with the order and hereby deemed repealed or modified accordingly. Section 16 severability clause. In any part of this order declared unconstitutional or contrary to exist, thus the other parts not so declared so remain full force are effect. Section 17 effectivity. This order shall take time 30 calendar days after its publication at the official gazette or newspaper or national active lang siya after 30 calendar days. Okay, thank you.